Hi everyone, welcome back. Dr. Vernita Glenn White here, known as Dr. V, life strategist and empowerment coach and CEO and founder of the Vibe Institute, where I help high achieving professionals vibe higher in their influence, brilliance, and excellence so they can show up to be their most empowered selves. What does all of that say? Or what does all of that mean? It means that I help people break their personal glass ceilings so they can show up to be their most powerful selves in their professional lives, whether that's career or in their business. And that touches that's a soft spot for me because I was one of those people. I am one of those people, and sometimes I think we're often overlooked as once we look like we have it all together on the outside, but people don't understand what happens on the inside. And I wanted to be able to help people say, hey, we don't have to keep showing up to be two different people. We can be one whole person living in discipline. That's what I talk about in my book. But living in our sweet spots because we get to show up in our brilliance, professionally and personally, and that's just a wonderful place to be in. So I wrote this book in 2020, and it's called Embracing Grit for Greatness, Becoming Professionally Powerful Through Personal Empowerment. And people are like, well, if you wrote the book, why do you have to look at the title? Honestly, I'm just still in awe that it was in my head for so long, and it finally it finally came out, and it finally materialized. So I always love to look at it because it's like, whew, another accomplishment. But if you're joining me, welcome. We're going to still stay on our journey, our lessons. What I've done is I'm going through like the grit check-ins, and that's why it's called Embracing Grit for Greatness, because most of us, well, a lot of us, especially high achievers, top professionals, and let me say this, achievers, high achievers, people automatically think, oh, you must have done well in school, this, that, and the other. Well, yeah, that's true, but not all high achievers were excelled in school, right? A lot of high achievers just went through school, just whatever, but business wise, career wise, entrepreneurial wise, whatever, they found their zone of genius and excelled at that, and that's where they became a high achiever. So I don't want you to get caught up on, oh, I didn't do good in school, so I'm not a high achiever. But most people just look at high achievers academically, and I'm an academic, so that's kind of where it came from. But that doesn't exclude anyone who didn't go to college or anything like that. No, you're brilliant in your area. What it took for you to get to the level that you are, whether that was formal education or non-traditional education, with all of these other things that are happening, in the world, different avenues of education. So let's just put that out there. And I may keep saying that over and over because, yeah, we're broadening our definitions of high achievers here. But I talk about the different areas of this book. The book is broken down into several parts, but what we're going to talk about in this series, we're talking about the grit check-ins in the areas of courage, conscientiousness, endurance, resilience, and excellence versus perfection. And then we're going to talk about big U and little u. So I already talked about courage, big U, and now I want to talk about courage, little u. And if you're just joining us, courage, big U, or anything big U that I'm talking about is how you show up professionally or in your business, at your job, that other side. A lot of times high achievers, we live double lives without even realizing it. And then little u is talking about who you are after the accolades, after you come off the stage, or after you come home from being in your corporate job, or after you sold all of these millions of products, let's say. But who are you when you come home in your quiet time and things like that? And sometimes they don't always match up. And so in the book, I talk about my personal story of big me and little me. But then in these grit check-ins, I'm challenging you. I want you to get something out of this, because let's say maybe you will never buy the book. I want you to, and I'll tell you how to do that at the end. But let's just say this is all that you can get right now. So I want to make sure that I provide you that value. So I'm gonna do this a little differently. I'm actually gonna read it, the check-ins, and then have a discussion about it. They're not long at all. Like my book is like 17 chapters, but is only 166 pages total. So I always laugh because my publisher did, and I was like, I didn't write that many chapters, but the way things were broken up, they were viewed as chapters, and the chapters are very small. All right, so little U, courage. I start every section off with a quote because I love quotes. And this one is from Ernest Hemingway. It says, courage is grace under pressure. Courage is grace under pressure. The last lesson we talked about courage in big U, but now we're going to talk about courage in little u. And it says, for many of us, we tend to be high achievers and overachievers in our careers, but we often don't approach our personal lives with the same intensity, bravery, or courage. Caveat, you remember I said that bravery was, what you do to get started, but courage is that mindset for you to keep going. I said, I learned that many of us excel from a place of pain, needing to prove ourselves or for protection. I talked about that. Like a lot of us do. Why do we excel? And for most reasons, it's because someone said we couldn't. We didn't like our circumstances. Of course, it doesn't take pain to be a high achiever and excel, but most of us, it took some pain, or we need a way to protect ourselves, and that's why we do what we do. And it says, I'm not a psychologist, but those are some of the common patterns I noticed from research and conversations with other successful people. I also realized that most high achievers thrive off systems and structures from school. Now, that could be formal or informal education. We all had to get trained and developed some way, somehow, and it involved a system and a structure. So that's what I mean here. I said, could it be that it's easier to be courageous in a structured environment with some sort of known outcome? With school or some form of additional education or training, we know the end goal, and we make the decision to push forward and take risks. We often operate as if the standards or learning outcomes act as guardrails that hold us accountable. However, I'm sure you haven't looked at your personal life to determine the standards and the learning outcomes. So what that means is we know, like, especially if we've done school well, or even we know what school requires of us. We know what courses requires of us. They give us some learning targets, some objectives. We go through the course. We know what they expect for us at the end. But then I ask, have we done that for our personal lives? Have we looked at our personal lives and said, these are the outcomes I want, and I'm going to go through, make sure I accomplish those outcomes? Because in school or wherever we learned anything, the learning outcomes, those were the guardrails. Those were the things that kept us safe. We knew if we stayed in between the lines, we were going to get this outcome. But in our personal lives, there's no really defined structure. There are no defined guardrails, outside of our professional lives. And I said, think about your personal life. This may come quicker than when you had to think about courage for big U. So the last time I told you to write about big U courage, and the last time you were courageous in your professional side, and how did that make you feel? But we're going to do that about our personal side today. Many of us have been conditioned to mask our insecurities and hide behind our titles and positions. I know that was me for a long time. Was that you? However, you have permission to take off the mask and be honest with yourself. Now, you don't need my permission, but for some reason, when I was going through my personal development journey, when the coach I had said, I give you permission, it was like, huh. We don't need, as adults, we don't need permission, but it's something about this. This is why this is called little me. That spoke to the little me and said, it's okay, you have permission to be your awesome self, So you don't need my permission, but I'm just, to moment of transparency, I know that touched me when I heard you have permission to X, Y, and Z. So I'm gonna do the same for you. You have permission to take off the mask and be honest with yourself. Take a moment and identify an area in which you continue to struggle with courage. If you could manage being timid or indecisive or not having courage in your personal life, how would you show up differently? If you had 5% more courage, what would you do? I'll wait. Write it right now or put it down in the comments. So all of this is saying is we know how to be courageous in our professional lives or businesses. We go after things. When they say that we can't do something, we go after it and we stick with it. We have the courage to put ourselves out there. It wasn't easy going up for that promotion. It was scary, but you did it anyway. But what about in your personal life? Uh, are you afraid of being in a loving relationship? Do you not have the courage to start your health journey? What about, and this is another personal side, but it's kind of business, but maybe start another business because of something that happened in your personal life. It doesn't match, what corporate thinks a business is, but this is like your business. What about writing a book or being more vulnerable to people, your family, opening up to friends, not telling all your business, you got to protect that, but just a little more courage to do things that that you should do or want to do or need to do in life. What would you do with just 5% more courage? I'm not asking you to go to the Wizard of Oz and get all of it, but if we take that needlepoint move, that little step, that little bit of courage, what would you do with that? And I want to leave you with that. Sit with that and look at the parallel. This book is like a parallel story of how I was like huge and big me over here, but then little me over here, but we were still going the same direction. Something had to give because at some point the worlds collided. And I'm not going to get into that. You can read about that in the book, but I want you to start looking at how you can, even up the playing field. Like, how can you be courageous in your professional or business life, and then also how can you be courageous in your personal life? Sometimes it's down here, it doesn't match. So in order for you to fix that, we have to be courageous and look at that area. So be honest with yourself, take that moment and write that down and just sit with that. And then you'll see like, wow, what was I, what have I been doing this whole time? Because I'll let you in the secret. I was kind of saving it to the end, but all of these are just about transferable skills. If we can be courageous over here, we can be courageous over there. Same thing, right? So that's all I have for you today for the courage part. This is courage little me, really, which is the personal side. And I hope you got something out of it. Let me know down below. And if you are interested, the book is available. You can go to embracinggritforgreatnessbook.com. You go, I tell you more about the book there. You can purchase it on that site. It is also available on Amazon. And what I want you to do, once you order it, you can come back and then I have a special bonus for you. And you'll need your order number for you to put in there. You'll see it on the site. And then that way we can stay connected and I can give you even more bonuses or more value to help you along your personal growth journey so you can be your most brilliant and empowered selves. All right. So I am Dr. V. Thank you so much for listening and learning with me, and I will see you next time. Bye.